Students, now we are going to discuss right note on adiabatic process. Before this, we have discussed about isothermal process. In isothermal process, it is the process in which temperature remain constant. That is called as isothermal process. In isothermal process, delta T is equal to 0, delta U is equal to 0, but Q is not equal to 0. Opposite to this, we have to discuss the adiabatic process. So the definition of adiabatic process is that it is defined as the process in which there is no exchange of heat energy between the system and its surrounding. That is called as adiabatic process. In isothermal process, the temperature remain constant so that the system can exchange heat with the surrounding. But here there is no exchange of heat energy with between system and surrounding. Therefore, Q is not equal to 0, means it is not absorbed, it is not released. That's why Q is equal to 0. As Q is equal to 0, delta T is not equal to 0, and T is related to delta U. As delta T is not equal to 0, definitely delta U not equal to 0. Adiabatic process means it is the process in which there is no exchange of heat energy between system and surrounding, means Q is equal to 0, means heat is neither absorbed nor released. That's why delta T become not equal to 0, and delta T is dependent on delta U depend on delta T. That's why delta U not equal to 0. Then what are the characteristics of adiabatic process? Number 1, an adiabatic process is carried out in an isolated system. As there is no exchange of heat between energy between system and surrounding, that system must be isolated. What do you mean by isolated system? The system which neither exchange energy nor exchange matter, that is called as isolated system. For adiabatic condition, no absorption of heat, no release of heat. That's why system should be isolated. Second characteristics is that in this process, temperature does not remain constant, delta T not equal to 0. As process is considered as a isolated, so you are taken a hot tea and placed in a thermos flask. So initially temperature is suppose 40 degrees Celsius. After some interval it become 45, after it become 50, after that it become 55, after that it becomes 60. So temperature is not constant. T1 is 40, T2 is 45. 45 minus 40 means 5. Delta T not equal to 0. In this process, internal energy of the system does not remain constant. You know that internal energy is temperature dependent. If delta T not equal to 0, means delta U not equal to 0. If delta T is equal to 0, then delta U also equal to 0. As temperature is not constant, delta T not equal to 0, definitely delta U not equal to 0. During expansion, temperature and energy decreases, and during compression, temperature and energy increases. There are two processes. Expansion means increase in size, compression means decrease in size. During expansion, temperature and energy decreases. Whenever there is an expansion, temperature and energy both are decreasing. Opposite to this, compression means there is a decrease in the size, temperature and energy increases. So that is, you are considering the three characteristics of adiabatic process. For example, hot tea placed in a closed thermos flask. You are considering the adiabatic process, it must be isolated system. So hot tea is placed in a thermos flask. Thermos flask is thermally insulated. It is not allowing to enter the heat inside the thermos flask or outside the thermos flask. That's why the prime in important condition in adiabatic process is carried out in an isolated system. So hot tea placed in a closed thermos flask is the example of adiabatic process. एडियाबैटिक प्रोसेस का मतलब क्या है? इसके पहले हम लोगों ने देखा है आइसोथर्मल प्रोसेस. आइसो मीन्स सेम, थर्मा मीन्स टेम्परेचर. So it is the process in which temperature remain constant throughout the process. That's why delta T is equal to 0. उसके बाद डेल्टा U is equal to 0 and Q not equal to 0. उसके अपोजिट है एडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस. सो एडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस का मतलब क्या है? ऐसी प्रोसेस जिसमें हीट एब्सॉर्ब भी नहीं होंगी, रिलीज भी नहीं होंगी. इसका मतलब उसमें कौन सा भी हीट एनर्जी का एक्सचेंज नहीं होगा. As there is no heat energy exchange, Q is equal to 0. And as Q is equal to 0, delta T not equal to 0. And delta T is having the dependency, delta U is having the dependency on delta T, delta U is not equal to 0. उसके बाद उसकी क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है? नंबर 1, एडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस हम लोग कैरिड आउट करते कहां पे? आइसोलेटेड. एडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस में हीट एक्सचेंज नहीं होंगी. और कौन से सिस्टम में हीट एक्सचेंज नहीं होती? आइसोलेटेड. ओपन सिस्टम में मैटर भी एक्सचेंज होता है, एनर्जी भी एक्सचेंज होती है. उसके बाद क्लोज सिस्टम में सिर्फ एनर्जी एक्सचेंज होती है, मैटर नहीं होता. लेकिन आइसोलेटेड सिस्टम में मैटर और एनर्जी दोनों का एक्सचेंज नहीं होता. इसीलिए एडियाबेटिक प्रोसेस आइसोलेटेड सिस्टम में कैरी आउट की जाती है. उसके बाद इन दिस प्रोसेस टेम्परेचर डज नॉट रिमेन कांस्टेंट. जैसे कि हीट एब्सॉर्ब भी नहीं हो रही है, रिलीज भी नहीं हो रही है, इसका मतलब टेम्परेचर कांस्टेंट नहीं रहेगा. हम लोगों ने अगर 40 ml वाटर लिया है, बॉइलिंग वाटर और बॉइलिंग टी लिया है और थर्मस फ्लास्क में डाल दिया. उसका टेम्परेचर सपोज पहले 25 डिग्री से, उसके बाद थर्मस में डालने के बाद 30 होगा, उसके बाद 35, उसके बाद 5 मिनट में 40. टेम्परेचर चेंज हो रहा है सेकंड टू सेकंड, इसलिए डेल्टा टी कभी 0 नहीं आ सकता. एज इंटरनल एनर्जी डेल्टा टी पे डिपेंड करता है. डेल्टा टी नॉट इक्वल टू 0 है, इसका मतलब डेल्टा यू भी नॉट इक्वल टू 0 हो जाएगा. और एक्सपांशन जब होता है और कंप्रेशन जब होता है, तो एक्सपांशन यानी साइज का बढ़ना है, उस समय टेम्परेचर एनर्जी क्या होती है? डिक्रीज. अपोजिट है, साइज बढ़ रहा है तो टेम्परेचर एनर्जी क्या होंगी? डिक्रीज. कॉम्प्रेशन यानी साइज का स्मॉल होना, साइज कम हो रहा है तो एनर्जी और टेम्परेचर क्या होगा? इंक्रीज. और उसका एग्जांपल है हॉट टी प्लेस इन अ थर्मस फ्लास्क. So that's all about the adiabatic process. In short, adiabatic process Q is equal to 0, delta T not equal to 0 and delta U not equal to 0. Students, now we are going to discuss write note on isobaric process. Before this, we have discussed isothermal process, adiabatic process. Now we are going to focus on third process, isobaric process. So isothermal process means it is the process in which temperature remain constant. Adiabatic process means it is the process in which there is no exchange of energy with system and surrounding. अब इसके बाद हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं isobaric process. So isobaric process can be defined as, it is defined as the process in which is carried out at constant pressure. Here delta P is equal to 0. Isobaric process pressure remain constant. P1 is 10 bar, then P2 is also 10 bar. Means delta P, P2 minus P1, 10 minus 10, answer will be 0. Means it is defined as the process which is carried out at constant pressure. It's called as isobaric process. Baric means pressure remain constant. Here delta P is equal to 0. Then we are going to discuss its characteristics. Characteristic number 1. In this process, the volume of gaseous system changes against the constant pressure. When you are considering the gaseous system, in this process, volume changes against the constant pressure. As it is an isobaric process, pressure is constant, but for gaseous system, the volume is going to change. Second, in this, volume and temperature changes. As pressure is constant, but volume is also changing and temperature is also changing. After that, internal energy of the system changes, means delta U is also changing. As temperature changing, delta U definitely changing. You know that Temperature dependent factor is nothing but internal energy. In this system, temperature changes. As temperature changes, internal energy also changes. After that, number 4, the external atmospheric pressure remains always constant. So it is the important criteria when you are considering you are boiling water in open container. What happens? It is having the atmospheric pressure, and one atmospheric pressure is always in boiling water. If you are measuring, you have taken 10-liter water and start its boiling. It is having one atmospheric pressure. After 1 hour, it is also having one atmospheric pressure. After 2 hours, it is also having one atmospheric pressure. That's why the external atmospheric pressure remain always constant because our process is isobaric. So pressure remain constant. For example, all the processes carried out in open vessels are in the laboratory are isobaric process. Means you are carrying out any process in the laboratory in an open container, they are having the experience of the one atmospheric pressure remain constant. Whatever the process you are carrying out in the laboratory in an open vessel, open container, if it is closed, then pressure will be more. It may be less initially. For example, pressure cooker, at the initially pressure will be less, but after 5 minutes pressure increases, 10 minutes increases, the lid is closed. But open vessel is taken, it always experience one atmospheric pressure. So that's all about the isobaric process. So isobaric process का मतलब क्या है? ऐसी प्रोसेस जिसमें प्रेशर कैसा रहता है? कांस्टेंट. जैसे अपन बॉइलिंग वाटर लिया है, वाटर अगर बॉइल हो रहा है, अगर उसका प्रेशर मेजर किया जाए तो 1 एटमॉस्फेयर 760 mmHg रहेगा. 10 मिनट के बाद भी देखा तो उस पे प्रेशर 1 एटमॉस्फेयर 760 mmHg रहेगा. 15 मिनट के बाद भी प्रेशर 760 mmHg रहेगा. इसका मतलब ऐसी प्रोसेस जिसमें प्रेशर कांस्टेंट रहता है उसे हम आइसोबैरिक प्रोसेस कहते हैं. आइसोबैरिक प्रोसेस का एग्जांपल अगर देना है, all the process carried out in open vessel are in the laboratories isobaric process. हम लोग जो एक्सपेरिमेंट कैरी आउट करते हैं लेबोरेटरी में, उसमें जो भी एक्सपेरिमेंट्स कैरी किए जा रहे हैं, अगर वो ओपन वेसल में है तो उस पर प्रेशर जो रहेगा वो कितना रहेगा? 1 एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर. तुमने प्रोसेस चालू की 12:05 में, उसके बाद 12:10 में देखा तो भी 1 एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर रहेगा. उसके बाद तुमने 1 बजे देखा तो भी प्रेशर 1 एटमॉस्फेयर रहेगा. उसके बाद दूसरे दिन भी लिया तो भी प्रेशर 1 एटमॉस्फेयर ही रहेगा, वो चेंज नहीं होता. तुम लेबोरेटरी में जो भी प्रोसेस करते हो, आज करो, 2 दिन बाद करो, 50 दिन बाद करो, प्रेशर सेम रहेगा, वो बदलेगा नहीं. इसका मतलब ऐसी प्रोसेस जिसका प्रेशर कांस्टेंट रहता है उसे हम क्या कहते हैं? आइसोबैरिक प्रोसेस. पहली कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या है इसकी? इस प्रोसेस में वॉल्यूम जो गैसेस सिस्टम है उसका अगर देखा जाए गैसेस सिस्टम का तो चेंज होता है. कहाँ पे? अगेंस्ट कांस्टेंट प्रेशर. उसके बाद इस प्रोसेस में वॉल्यूम भी चेंज होता है और टेम्परेचर भी चेंज होता है. उसके बाद थर्ड कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, टेम्परेचर डिपेंडेंट इंटरनल एनर्जी. एज टेम्परेचर चेंज हो रहा है तो इंटरनल एनर्जी भी क्या होंगी? चेंज. एंड एक्सटर्नल एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर रिमेन कांस्टेंट बिकॉज it is a isobaric process. In this way, all the points we have covered about the isobaric process.